Welcome to another episode of Race to 100. I have today Damien Rufus, an amazing Saaspreneur and friend of mine. He is the entrepreneurial hustler behind Digital Systems LLC and the Spark Accelerator. Damien is one of the most sought after and trusted digital strategists in the world of online marketing. A driven entrepreneur by every sense of the term, Damien has co-founded numerous profitable brands, including Valet, Proven Marketing Campaigns LLC, and the Automated Seller, as well as Tidy Track. For local service businesses and Fortune 500 companies, he has extensively developed brands in a variety of industries, both himself and for his clients. Damien, welcome to the show.
Hey, Lee, thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
So, obviously, I know a little bit about you, but I don't think all of our listeners do, because as we know, you are often one of the most sought after but secret Saaspreneurs. So I am fortunate to have met you. Tell our listeners a little bit about how you became a Saaspreneur.
Sure. So I started in this automation game, if you will, about 18 years ago. I was using a different platform at the time. I had a small credit repair company that I had started in the summers because I was a sixth grade teacher. And as you all know, teachers don't get paid when they don't work in the summer. So I needed another way to, boost my income over the summers. I don't know how you make one check last the whole summer. I couldn't do it.
Mm-hmm.
So I had a side hustle when I was in the Navy. I was helping other sailors with credit repairs. So I decided to open up a brick and mortar shop, opened it up, and we had, tons of people come in right out of the gate. A lot of that doesn't happen for a lot of businesses. But I started to look into online lead generation and things like that. And I needed a way to, process those people or automate some of the stuff that we were doing. I got introduced to Keep at the time, and which was Infusionsoft. And, back in the early days when, it took a PhD in order to use the software. You needed to be a software engineer. I spent 3 months, 8 hours a day in the software. Like that's literally all I did. And then after the end of those 3 months, I was about 20% proficient in the software. But that was still 19% more proficient than everyone else. So, it was crazy because it was so difficult to use, but it was so powerful when you got it, when you used it, right? So fast forward, ended up selling that company, doing some cool stuff like going to film school, and then came back around to this internet marketing thing. And the first thing I did was back up with the automation with the software. And so I released my first product in December of 2009 on a little forum called Warrior Forum. I had a lot of the back end automated when people purchase. They received software keys, they received emails, they got access, and people were like, "Hey, man, how are you doing all this stuff? Like, how are you making it happen?" And I'm like, "Yeah, you should go use this software that I'm using." And then they go try to use it, couldn't. And they're like, "Hey, would you like to, can you do this for me?" And I was like, "I guess so," All the while sending, hundreds of people to Infusionsoft to buy the software, not knowing they had like a partner program. Or they would send me stuff like iPads and tablets. "Oh, hey, thanks." And I'm like, "Oh, great, I'm getting this free tablet." And then somebody reached out to me and says, "Hey, you can keep all of that money that they're giving them on the sign up if you just become a partner." And so they told me that on the Friday, and I was in the partner class on Monday. So that happened kind of quickly. But then I really just kind of built an agency around this business automation using the software. And fast forward a couple more years, this new software comes around called High Level. It says, "Hey, instead of putting people on somebody else's platform, you can actually own your own platform and build a business out of the SaaS." So that's how I got to SaaS and High Level.
One question I have about that is, when did you make the switch? So obviously you were collecting some presence, I guess I could call it, from Keep.
Yeah.
But when did the switch go, "Oh, this is an affiliate marketing"? Did that connection happen? Or was it literally somebody's like, "By the way, here's your money"?
Yeah, right. It was literally, somebody at Infusionsoft saying, "Hey, you send us a lot of people We have this program to where, that setup fee, like you can keep the whole thing. And at the time it was like $2,000 and I'm sending, 10 to 20 people there a month. And I'm like, whoa, wait, what? Um, yes, I need to make this change. Literally, I was standing outside. I remember the phone call, standing outside of my house. And I'm like, yo, I got to get into this class. When's the next one? And they're like, well, we have one on Monday. And I was like, I'm in, like, in. So it was literally, that was on a Friday. And I was in the class on a Monday.
So, speaking of that period of time, do you remember
Mhm.
getting your first SaaS client?
I kind of got known in the space as the Infusionsoft guy. So, I would help people, they ask the questions. And of course, I'm all about giving. So I would go and, help them out, just whatever. But like literally like the second month after I released my first product in 2009, like people were asking, I didn't know what to charge. I didn't even know what agency was. But they were asking, hey, can you do this for me? And I'm like, yeah, I'll charge a couple $100. And then once I really got into the system or the community, it's like, whoa, wait a minute. That was quite a discount that the first person that I gave them. So congrats to that person because they had a huge launch. I think over $250,000 in a couple of weeks, and all from this back end help that we did.
Obviously, the next phase, you got into Keep, you got everything going. When did you make the switch to I'm going to be an agency? Like, not just I'm using and helping people with software, but I'm going to make this into like a formal business.
Maybe I would say like the fifth or sixth month because people just kept coming. It was like, hey, can you help me? Can you help him with that? Hey, can you help me with this? And it was just like an onslaught of people asking me to help them in their accounts. So it happened relatively quickly. And I really attribute a lot of that to me just giving, right? Like, sharing my knowledge with people. And plus, like I said, it was a super hard platform to use, right? So, if somebody wanted to do the automation piece, they needed somebody like me or a partner to come in and help them do it. That's just how the software was built. So, it happened right time, right place. It happened quickly.
For those folks who are starting their journey to SaaSpreneurship, they are trying to get their first couple clients. What do you say is the key piece to kind of go from wannabe SaaSpreneur to actually building and growing an agency?
Sure, it can happen, or it should happen relatively quick for you too, because now the software is uh, so much easier to use than we have drag and drop builders now. It's so much easier to use than it was before. Um, but it really starts with what do you do and what you're passionate about, right? Start there. So even if you're not you should be passionate about the thing that you're in, the business that you're in. And if you know that business inside and out, you should be able to help other people that are in the same business. A lot of times people I'll go back to the credit repair industry. It was crazy to me because like everybody wanted to hold their secrets in, right? They didn't want to tell you the software they're using, the methods they're using. But if the numbers are correct, right, there's some like 80 million people or now it's probably more like 100 million people who have inaccuracies on their credit reports. If the numbers are correct, one agency or one credit repair shop could not help all 80 million people. There's no way possible, right? There's not enough time in the day. There's just no way. So you can only help a certain number of people, right? That you have the capacity. Even if you're like one of these big firms, you still are relegated to the capacity of you can't scale infinitely in that space. So we should be if the goal is to help people, we should be sharing the knowledge and the techniques and all that with each other so we can make this thing bigger together, right? It's just not like that. So you have to have that helping mentality or that giving mentality. Because I'm a firm believer, like, whenever I give, it always comes back like tenfold, right? So if you always keep that in mind, then you'll be able to help the people. Like, let's say you're a barber, right? you're automating systems like, your calendar, the payment, the follow-up text messages to get that person to your chair, right? To cut their hair. So you should be sharing that with other barbers, right? Because you can't really, in that field too, you can't cut 1,000 heads a day. There's just not enough time, right? So if you help the guy next to you, and then you help the guy next to him, and then you help the guy next to him with your processes. Well, now you got a little agency happening, right? And then you can take that, you can step out of the barber spot, and then you can start helping these other barbers do the exact thing you did to scale your business. So it can happen quickly, right? So that's the way that I would do it. Take what I'm doing, right? Help the next person who's kind of in the same situation, kind of both. Help them with the processes and just take one or two features. You don't need to know all 100,000 of them, right? And then start building that way.
So with that in mind, for me, the thing that comes up is that there's people who are in the agency space first, and then they try to pick a niche, and they're not necessarily experienced with the niche. And there's other people who, as you said, have been in a niche, and now they're trying to do the agency. What do you think each of those avatars could do differently to have success?
Sure. So I come from in the space and then work myself out. I always think, when I hop into somebody else's business, I tell them, because we don't write sales copy on our end, right? Because nobody knows a person's business better than the person in the business, right? So we can help them with, tools and templates and things like that to help extract that information out, but we don't write it for them. So it's easier if you know the space to help grow the space. I should coin that term, right? If you know the space, grow it. It's easier, but if you're coming from the outside in, that's okay too. Just know that you have to learn, you have to put in the time to learn that space a little bit to help them, right? Like, I like to say, we can hop into any niche, it doesn't matter, because the processes are the processes, right? What's been proven to work before in different spaces will most of the time work in a new space or a new niche. But you got to put in the time to learn the nuances in that niche so you can make an impact, right? So you can't go in, first of all, never sell the software, because people don't care about software. I'll say it again. People do not care about software, okay? If you go in talking about, hey, we have this white label version of high level, call it, because you got the Bruins up there, the Bruins automation or whatever, right? Like, call it whatever. People are like, who cares? Like, how can I get more customers? How can I make more money? Like, come in with that. And the software is just the piece that makes it all run. So nobody really cares about what's under the hood. They just want to drive the car. So go into the situation with that in mind.
So going off of that comment, what do you think a new Saaspreneur should start with? White labeling high level and having their own, white labeled version, or just sell high level? Because I've heard both ways.
So I would come in, I would do the exact method that I just said earlier, right? I would say, hey, listen, I want to help you in your business. I'm going to take 3 people in the same space, right? Because your SaaS should be niche centered, right? It shouldn't be a jack of all trades to help out all these things, right? Or all these different types of people. It should be niche centered. So maybe and that niche can expand to service oriented or brick and mortar, whatever. Like, it can expand, but start with one niche. So I would go in to, let's say chiropractors or something. I would go to 3 chiropractors and say, hey, I know a lot about marketing, or I learned a little bit about marketing, or I'm learning about marketing. One of those 3, right? And I want to test a few things. Normally, this costs X, but because I'm learning, I'm going to give it to you for X. It's going to be for you 3 only. But can I come in? You guys pay me a little bit of money to make this thing work. And then once we get results, I'll keep you on the same plan forever. Like, who cares? But I need some testimonies or some text on how, my process is going to work. You guys cool with that? Cool. So now you got 3 people. Let's say they're paying you $100 a month. So now you're on the 297 plan of high level, and you have all the features that you need to make this thing happen with $0 coming out of your pocket, right? So now that's how I would start myself. Start with 3 people, right? Just start with 3 in the same niche, and get those 3 and start from there.
That brings up, I heard you mention this on another training you did recently, the fundamentals. That seems so important to getting those 3 and getting the momentum.
Absolutely. Like, you know, what's being sold out there is stuff that works for people who have big lists or huge audiences or things like that. You can't, like, what's working for them isn't going to work for you right now, right? Because, someone says, oh, I get, I have a 20% close rate, but all those leads are warm, right? It's different when you have, a cold list or a cold lead. So you got to make sure that you have the base fundamental campaigns or technique. You can't jump to 10 if you haven't started with 1, right? So you got to get those fundamentals in place in order to build upon those fundamentals. So don't start out with, hey, I have 18 different service products or features that I want you to use in your business. Start out with 1. Like, hey, this is how we get people to show up, right? We have a calendar, we have follow-up messages, text, email. This is the system. Let's start there, right? Once we get there, let's go into, okay, how do we get the people that showed up to purchase? Then you go into that. Okay, now that they purchase, how do we get them to come back and buy something in? Then you add those features, right? So it's like a building block. You got to start with the fundamentals before you can get to the fancy stuff.
Another question that comes to mind with that is, obviously there's basic core sales techniques, there's basic things that, communication in general to, get someone to purchase something. What do you think is a good strategy for somebody who's going out for those first 3 clients? Is it cold messaging? Is it referral marketing? Where would you start?
Sure. I love people, and I love talking to people. So I love, my network. So I would ask first the people that I know, hey, do you know anybody who needs help? Can you introduce me? Right? Perfect. That's a great start. Or I would go, to the bar. If it's my barber, right? I have long hair, guys. I haven't been to a barber in a long time. If it's my barber, I would say, I would talk to the person that cuts my hair, right? Or if it's, let's say it's my accountant, I'll ask them, hey, what are you doing as far as your marketing? I noticed I didn't get an email. This other guy is sending out these emails. Are you doing that? They're like, no, I'm not doing it. I don't have the time. Oh, well, cool. Let me show you how you get that time back in order to do this. I can help you, like, stuff like that. So I would reach out to, my closest circle first to try to get the referral. And then I started reaching out to my professional circle, people that I pay money to help move the needle.
What do you think? Obviously, you've got to get that first client, you've got to get the second client. But what do you think is the switch between somebody who's a Saaspreneur, they're kind of getting started, and somebody who, like, they're scaling and growing? Is there like a switch that flips, or is it just the process?
So I think it's a little bit of both, right? Like, I think that people need to seek success in order to have the confidence to have the conversations. I saw success early on, so I could say, yeah. And I was really good at the software. So, and being in the software, and by really good, I just meant better than most, like not even the greatest, like, but just a little bit better than most. So I had the confidence to say, hey, I'm really good at this. If you need help, I can help you. Right. But it takes going through, because a lot of people will come in and high levels, a little, what's the word? Like, overwhelming, right? When you first hop in. So people don't have enough confidence to say, yes, I can help you with that because I don't know how to do it. And there's like 20 ways to do one thing in the software, right? Like to send an email, you can send an email 5 different places, right? So people lack that confidence because they don't know the software. If you really want to be in the software like that, you got to put in the time, right? But if your goal is to scale a SaaS company, then you shouldn't be in the software. You should find people who are good at the software and let them be in the software. One of the things that we don't do in our SaaS is we don't do customer service, we don't do onboarding, we don't do any of that. Like we have people who are really good at that, do that piece. We don't. Well, I wouldn't say we don't touch it. We're still working out some of the kinks, but 98% of it is done by somebody else. Of course, you have to pay for that, but the time that it would take for me to train, our team, put the processes in place, learn all of the processes, set all the emails and reminders and calendars and all that, the amount of time for what you pay for that is pennies, right? So I would, depending on where you want to be, you shouldn't be in the software if you're looking to scale this thing massively. You should find the people who are better in the software than you are.
And what if somebody is tech oriented, but they're not sales oriented, and that's the piece they struggle? What advice would you give them?
Perfect. So I would tell them to go find a sales guy, right? This is the same thing, but opposite. I would say, hey, go find somebody to help you sell this thing. Equip them with the tools, the training to really sell this thing. Build all the tech pieces yourself, but have them go sell. Now you can partner with that person, or you can just give them a percentage of sales. I'll tell you, like a lot of people who have sales reps are paying them 10%, of the sale. So like if you offer 20, that dude will be, and it will stay with you forever if you guys sell this thing. But there's plenty of businesses who need the help. Find a sales guy to help you reach those businesses. Or just become, like a sales monster, go through all the trainings with the sales guy. If you're a technical guy, you're not gonna like it, right? Like it's one of those things where, like, if you're not that type, that A type, like, it's a different crowd over there. So, a lot of us tech guys, we're humble and we like this building and we like to help people. Like it's just two different ends.
So, with the training, because you were just mentioning training, where do you think somebody could go to get kind of the piece they're missing if they're looking for education or content? Is the YouTube rabbit hole kind of a place to start, or is there better ways to learn high level?
I mean, YouTube University, we call it, you can get a master's degree, right? In YouTube University. But, with that degree, a lot of us have degrees in fields that we're no longer involved in, right? So you get all the education there, but you don't implement. One of the greatest places to come is the Spark Accelerator to learn and to get that implementation piece of high level. We teach you from the beginning, and it's hands-on. So you're live with me in a room, me with the ruler. I should get a ruler for the next one. So walk around with the ruler, getting you guys to implement the things that you're learning. So when you leave, everything that you learn, all of the, really we have 5 core campaigns that also small businesses should have. You'll have that done, built inside of your high level account. Then you can go to take to other people if you want, and you can use in your own business. So you don't leave the Spark Accelerator until those things are done.
How can people reach out to you if they're interested in the Spark Accelerator?
Sure, you can go to sparkaccelerator.com. That'd be the first place. The second place, support at Spark Accelerator, or just email me directly, Damien at sparkaccelerator.com. And I'm more than happy to reach back out to you. You can find me on Facebook. Just search Damien Rufus. There's not a lot of us. I think I'm the only one. So you'll find me on there. And also Instagram, Damien Rufus. But the Spark Accelerator, sparkaccelerator.com is where you can reach out.
And what is one last piece of advice you would give our growing SaaSpreneurs?
I would say the number one piece, I would say jump, right? A lot of people, they'll spend a lot of time learning, especially when you get into the high level groups. There's a lot of magic that's being shown, the things people are doing that have been doing it for a long time. And it's easy to fall in love or get enamored by some of the stuff that people are doing. And you'll want to go do those things. But I'll say take the first leap, jump, get your first 3. I mean, that's the magic number for me. Because one, it takes care of your monthly bill to high level. Okay, it's now you have high level for free. You can put as many people on there as you want, right? Get your first 3. That should be the priority, and the only way you get your first 3 is you jump and go get them.
Thank you very much. That was an amazing interview, and I think I'm going to have a challenge that I want to talk to you about
For
after
sure,
this.
for sure.
But we
Let's
appreciate
do
your
it.
time.
Lee, for sure. Thanks for having me. I appreciate it.